Hello, friends. Sleep Tight Stories, Sleep Tight Relax, and Sleep Tight Science are now available to play on Story Button, the device that makes it easy to listen to our shows and more without having to use a phone or tablet. This month, you can save $10 at storybutton.com when you use the code SLEEPTIGHT. Story Button, the home of imagination. Hello, I'm Sheryl, and this is Sleep Tight Relax, a bedtime show for kids who need a good sleep. In tonight's story, Magnus, a kind-hearted dog, and Felina, a clever cat, are adopted by the wise enchanter Aleron. After learning magic and many other skills, they set off on an adventure to help their master. During their journey, they meet King Philo, who has been cursed by the evil sorcerer Grimdok. Magnus and Felina use their cleverness and courage to defeat the sorcerer and lift the curse from the king. With the help of their master, they return home, knowing that true magic lies in friendship, kindness, and teamwork. Before we continue, take a moment to get cozy, comfortable, and relaxed. Close your eyes if you like and take a deep breath in through your nose. Feel the cool, fresh air fill your lungs. Now, slowly breathe out through your mouth. Take another deep breath in. Breathe out slowly again. Let go of any worries or thoughts you might have. Let's do it one more time. Breathe in deeply, filling yourself with air. Hold it for a moment, feeling the warmth and peace, and breathe out slowly, letting all your muscles relax. Good. Imagine a world where courage isn't just about being brave, but about knowing when to lean on others for help. This is the kind of world Magnus and Felina live in. A world where teamwork, kindness, and wisdom make all the difference. Their story reminds us of how important it is to work together, care for others, and believe in ourselves, even when we feel unsure. Working with friends, whether it's on a big school project or solving a tricky problem, always makes the task a little easier, doesn't it? In our story of Magnus and Felina, we learn that when friends come together, each bringing their own strengths, they can face any challenge. You see, everyone is good at something different. Maybe you're great at solving puzzles, and maybe your friend is amazing at cheering others up. Just like Magnus and Felina, when you combine your skills, wonderful things can happen. But what about those moments when we feel nervous or afraid? That's where courage comes in. Sometimes we think being brave means not feeling scared at all, but that's not true. Being brave is all about facing those fears, even when they make our hearts race. In our story, Magnus teaches us that even if we feel unsure or afraid, we can still find the courage to take the next step, especially when we have friends by our side. And just like in their story, sometimes you'll be the one offering support, and other times you'll lean on someone else. That's what makes a strong friendship. Another great part of the story is the way Magnus and Felina show kindness. There are moments when they have a choice. They could either think only about themselves, or they could take a moment to help someone in need. Of course, they always choose kindness. It's a gentle reminder that even the smallest act of kindness, a smile, a kind word, or helping a friend when they need it, can make a big difference in someone's day. When we help others, we often find that it makes us feel good too, like a warm light shining from inside. Wisdom isn't just about being smart. It's about using what you know in a way that helps others. In the story, Magnus and Felina have learned many things. But the real magic happens when they put that knowledge into action. When you're wise, you don't just know facts. You understand when and how to use them. It's like learning a new skill and finding the right moment to share it with others. The story of Magnus and Felina gently teaches us that in life, we are stronger when we work together, braver when we face challenges head-on, and kinder when we care for others. And along the way, we discover that wisdom isn't just about learning new things, but about using what we know to make the world a better place for everyone around us. Now let's continue with our story. Magnus and Felina, the brave dog and the wise cat. Once upon a time, in the magical land of Luminalia, lived an old and wise enchanter named Aleron. He had spent decades teaching magic to young fairies at the Academy of Enchantment. Day after day, he stood before a chalkboard, demonstrating how to turn seeds into pearls, or how to conjure a summer breeze from a single feather. Aleron loved the peaceful life of a scholar. But one day, Aleron found himself in a heated dispute with a powerful sorcerer named Grimdok, the Lord High Chancellor of the Academy. Grimdok, known for his arrogance, couldn't tolerate being questioned by anyone. The spell to dismantle castles must be done with force. Grimdok had insisted, his temper flaring. Aleron, calm yet firm, replied, "Power without precision is reckless, Grimdok. Magic is not just about strength." Furious at being contradicted, Grimdok banished Aleron from the academy. Gathering his books and staff, Aleron left the place he had called home for many years, setting off in search of a quiet place to live. After wandering for several days, he found a small house at the edge of an oak forest. The house belonged to the kind-hearted fairy Lysandra, who graciously allowed him to live there. The cottage had a steep roof and was surrounded by green fields where cows grazed lazily. Feeling peace settle over him, Aleron made the house his own. One crisp autumn morning, Aleron decided to take a walk through the forest. As he wandered deeper into the woods, he spotted a man walking with a white dog and a black cat trailing behind him. The man's face was full of sorrow, and his voice trembled as he spoke to the animals. "I'm so sorry, my little friends," the man said, wiping his eyes. "I cannot afford to feed you anymore. I must leave you here, though it breaks my heart." Aleron, hearing this, approached the man gently. "Why do you leave these creatures here, alone in the woods?" The man, startled, explained, "I am too poor to care for them. My children love them dearly, but I cannot bear to see them starve." Looking at the playful dog whose tail wagged despite the situation, and the cat who batted at a fallen leaf with curiosity, Aleron felt compassion stir in his heart. "Give them to me," he said softly. "I will care for them as my own." The man handed over the animals with a look of relief and gratitude. "Thank you, kind sir. May your generosity bring you good fortune." Aleron named the dog Magnus and the cat Felina. From that day forward, the animals lived with him in his cozy cottage. Using his magic, Aleron taught them much more than ordinary animals could ever learn. Magnus, a noble-hearted dog with endless curiosity, struggled with self-doubt, often thinking himself less clever than Felina. Felina, on the other hand, was sharp, confident, and sometimes a little too sure of herself. Yet the two became fast friends, complementing each other perfectly. Magnus learned the art of kindness and empathy, mastering languages and geography, while Felina excelled at complex magic and history. Often they would sit with Aleron by the fire, discussing what they had learned that day, their bond growing stronger with each passing year. One day, Felina approached Aleron with a question that had been brewing in her mind. "Master, we've learned so much from you, but the world is vast. We wish to explore it." Magnus, ever the loyal companion, nodded, though he felt a twinge of doubt. "Perhaps we could use our knowledge to help others." Aleron, though saddened by the thought of parting with his beloved companions, understood their need for adventure. "If you must go, you shall, but I have a task for you. I owe 12 golden coins to Fairy Lysandra, who now lives with her nephew, King Philo, in the land of the swift rivers. Take this purse of coins to her as payment." And so Magnus and Felina set off on their journey, with Magnus carrying the purse and Felina walking gracefully beside him. Their fame spread quickly as they traveled from village to village, for everyone marveled at the talking dog and cat. Magnus, known for his wisdom and compassion, gave speeches on kindness and empathy, while Felina impressed scholars with her knowledge of ancient spells and magical creatures. In every town they were welcomed with open arms, but they never stayed long. They had a mission to fulfill, and Magnus, despite his occasional doubts, was determined to see it through. After many months of travel, they arrived in the kingdom of the swift rivers. The land was breathtaking, with streams that danced down from the hills and rushed toward the sea. The animals made their way to the royal palace, where they were greeted by torchbearers and led into a grand hall. There they met King Philo, who sat upon his throne, his face hidden behind his hands. When the king finally looked up, Magnus and Felina gasped. His face and hands were bright green, as if they had been painted with the feathers of a parrot. "Welcome, brave travelers," the king said in a voice full of sorrow. "I am cursed, and I need your help." Felina, ever the practical one, stepped forward. "Tell us what happened, Your Majesty." King Philo explained that 10 months earlier, while riding his chariot along a narrow road, he had encountered Grimdok, who had cursed him out of spite. "Since then," the king continued, "I have been forced to hide my face from my people, for I cannot bear their pity." Lysandra, sitting by the fire, added, "We have tried every spell we know, but Grimdok's power is too great. I fear the curse can only be broken by defeating him." Magnus, despite his self-doubt, spoke up. "We will help you. We will find Grimdok and make him lift the curse." The next morning, the two friends set off for Grimdok's fortress in the Silver Hills. Knowing that Grimdok was cunning, they devised a plan. Magnus, with his friendly and unassuming nature, would pretend to be a stray dog, while Felina would use her wit and magic to gather information from within the castle. As they approached Grimdok's lair, Magnus turned to Felina. "Are you sure we're ready for this?" he asked, doubt creeping into his voice. Felina gave him a reassuring look. "We've learned so much, Magnus. Trust in yourself. We can do this." Inside the fortress, Grimdok sensed their presence. A small enchanted bell rang, alerting him to the danger. From his tower, he looked down and saw the dog and cat approaching. "So, Aleron's little pets have come to meddle in my affairs," he muttered. The following day, Magnus hid under a sofa, while Felina slipped through the shadows, listening to Grimdok and his ally, the sorcerer Serpenal, discuss their dark plans. "Tomorrow," Serpenal said with a wicked grin, "we will complete the final spell, and the king will remain cursed forever." Felina's ears perked up. She crept back to Magnus, who was waiting anxiously in the garden. "They plan to cement the curse tomorrow," she whispered. "But if we can separate Grimdok from his staff, his power will weaken." The next day, the animals put their plan into action. As Grimdok prepared his final spell, Magnus distracted him by running in circles around the room, while Felina leaped onto Grimdok's back, knocking the staff from his hand. Enraged, Grimdok uttered a dark spell, and the room plunged into darkness. When the light returned, Grimdok had transformed himself into a black cat, identical to Felina, while Serpenal had become a white dog, just like Magnus. In the confusion, the real Magnus and Felina had to figure out who was who. Magnus, though filled with doubt, trusted his instincts. He noticed that the fake dog hesitated slightly, something the real Magnus would never do. "You're not me," he growled, lunging at the imposter. At the same time, Felina, using her sharp intellect, noticed a magical spark in the fake cat's eyes, something only Grimdok could possess. She pounced, scratching him with all her might. Just as the sorcerers were about to react, a familiar voice echoed through the room. "Enough. It was Aleron, their beloved master, standing in the doorway, his staff glowing with power. With a wave of his hand, Aleron cast a spell that sent Grimdok and Serpenol flying backward. "This is the end of your cruel reign, Grimdok," Aleron declared. He spoke a single word, and the fortress crumbled into dust, burying the two evil sorcerers beneath the rubble. With Grimdok's power destroyed, the curse on King Philo was lifted. His skin returned to its natural color, and he could finally show his face to his people once again. Magnus and Felina, though weary from their adventure, returned to the palace with Aleron, where they were greeted with a grand celebration. The king thanked them for their acts of bravery, showering them with gifts and titles of honor. Yet Magnus and Felina, humble as ever, were just happy to have fulfilled their mission and helped those in need. As the grand feast came to an end, King Philo offered Magnus and Felina a permanent place in his court. However, the two friends politely declined. They longed for the quiet comfort of Aleron's cottage, where they could return to a simpler life of study and friendship. "We have seen the world," said Felina, "but there is no place like home." Magnus nodded in agreement, his heart lighter than it had been in months. "And there's no better teacher than you, Aleron." So, with their work complete, the three companions made their way back to the peaceful cottage at the edge of the oak forest. There they continued to learn from one another, their bond stronger than ever. Magnus, now filled with confidence, had learned that true wisdom comes not just from knowledge, but from the heart. Felina, too, had gained a deeper understanding of humility and the value of teamwork. As the days turned to years, the tale of Magnus and Felina, the brave dog and the wise cat, was told in every corner of the kingdom of the swift rivers, and their legacy of courage, empathy, and friendship lived on, inspiring others for generations to come. And so, they lived out their days in happiness and harmony, proving that the greatest magic of all is the power of friendship and the courage to face challenges together. If you are awake, I would like you to whisper to yourself or say in your mind, "Kindness makes the world a better place, and I have the power to be kind every day." I can solve big challenges by working together with my friends. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. I am wise because I know when to listen, learn, and act with kindness. When I believe in myself, I can achieve great things. I am calm, relaxed, and peaceful. Good night. Sleep tight.